Hello. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Westside Congregation. For the duration of the pandemic, we will be holding all of our services online. I am the Reverend Dr. Nancy Hitt, Consulting Minister for this congregation. Our service today is titled, "What Color is Your Ruler?" As you may have noticed in our opening shot, there are a lot of rulers in a variety of colors on the table in front of our chalice. Most people, the whole world over, are familiar with the golden rule, but there are others as well: platinum and diamond and even titanium. All of these have been proposed to help guide human behavior. We're going to explore these various rules and how we use them as rulers to measure ourselves and each other in the course of our time together today. Our service is based on UU principles 1 and 2, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We hope you find these to be in evidence throughout our service. As always, our service is the result of a lot of behind-the-scenes work and coordination. My thanks to those of you who supplied rulers for our table today, along with Jimmy Stevens, whose camera work and web skills make this video possible, and to Steve Poyani, who keeps our music and sound effects happening. If you have never visited Westside before, we welcome you. We invite you to contact us through the comment section below the video or to email the office. We look forward to meeting you in person when we are able to return to on-site services. There are several important things that I would like to bring to your attention today. Robert remains at Bear Canyon Rehab Center. He has been moved into their hospice program, which will enable him to remain in the same place and continue to receive the care that he needs. Nancy is able to speak with him several times a day and assures us that although he is essentially bedridden at this time, his spirits remain good, he is able to make jokes, and maintain his feistiness. Reverend Steve Finney has also been placed in hospice care. He is out of the hospital following a bout with the COVID-19 virus. His wife, Cynthia, is able to have video chats with him in his new facility. On behalf of our congregation, I have sent Reverend and Mrs. Finney a card expressing our thoughts and concerns on their behalf. Reverend Steve is a former minister of this congregation. And lastly, Rio the dog needs more papers. If you would like a really good reason to be out and about and still safe from the virus, how about a drive up to the church to drop off newspapers for Rio? The bin is on the patio outside the social hall door. Please make sure you replace the lid and put the bricks on top of it securely. As we prepare to light our chalice together, I invite you to bring your chalice or candle closer and to join me in speaking the words as they appear on your screen. As always, please practice fire safety at home. As we light our chalice together, let us explore the points of connection that bring us into healthy relationship with one another. May we honor individual uniqueness and create harmony among all in the community of humanity. Shalom. Please join me in affirming our community aspirations as the words appear on your screen. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Blessed be. As we approach our moment for centering today, I invite you to sit back in your chair, to put anything you are holding down, to uncross your ankles, knees, or wrists, and let the energy flow unimpeded through your body. You may close your eyes or keep them open as you prefer. Relax in your seat and begin to focus on the sound and feel of your breathing. Breathing in and out, fully and deeply. Inhale deeply, filling your belly with air, and then exhale steadily, releasing tension through your nose. Let your mind go blank and sink down into yourself. And into that blankness, let an image of a golden net appear. This is the net that supports and sustains you in all that you are, in all that you do. Test it. Feel its strength, wiggle in it, and feel its resilience. Let yourself move freely and experience how this safety net of connections moves with you, how it holds you and supports you. Let yourself enjoy the brilliant glow from all the points of connection in your life. Feel yourself held in light and in love. Breathe that in. Release any residual tension as you exhale. In and out. And now release the image to your personal unconscious. Focus intentionally on your breathing and return your awareness to your current surroundings. When you are ready, open your eyes. Shalom. In this time of pandemic protocol and heightened concern about safety, both for ourselves and for others, it is helpful to name our joys and concerns and to share them with each other. I invite you now to bring your personal joys and concerns candle closer to you. I will lead us in naming those of our community whom we will light our candle for, and then I will offer a meditation for us all. We will conclude by lighting our candles together. Let us be together in spirit now. For many of us, this is a bittersweet time. The restrictions and inconveniences are bitter. The increase in safety is a sweet side effect. As our lives move on day by day, we hold that mixture of bitter and sweet, of joy and concern. We hold that in place for Robert. We hold concern for his frail health. We rejoice that he can still make Nancy laugh during their phone calls. We extend our love and support to each of them. As Reverend Steve Finney begins hospice care, we keep him and his wife, Cynthia, in our thoughts and prayers. We hope for peace in their lives, for a strong network of support to sustain them in all circumstances, and joy in their continued connection with each other, virtual though that may be. For Bobby, we hold both joy that she is well cared for and healthy, and concern that the circumstances of the pandemic are confusing and isolating for her. For all of the people whose lives have been disrupted in this pandemic, we hold concern. For those whose income has been compromised or is non-existent now, for those without a meaningful pursuit in their daily lives, for those disconnected from family and friends, for those who find themselves shocked by their own sadness and angry at the need to protect others with our own choices, we lift concern. For first responders and healthcare providers and teachers learning to use Zoom and online educational resources. For parents and kids who aren't sure how to be parents and kids without the familiar structures of pre-pandemic life. For workers in essential jobs that put them at risk, we hold concern. For those who are sick with the COVID-19 virus or anything else, we hold concern. And alongside all of our concerns, we express joy. We rejoice that resources are available for those with long-term health care needs. We rejoice that online education is a workable reality. We rejoice especially at the silver linings inside the corona cloud in which we live, that disabled people are benefiting from the work-from-home practices, finding themselves to be a well-integrated part of the workforce, that we're learning what really is essential to our lives and why, that people are reaching out to one another to help with good grace and humor. While we will never be glad for the pandemic itself, we can rejoice with integrity that silver linings are real and that they really matter. For all of these things, joys and concerns that we have named, and those that still fill our hearts and minds, we light our candles together now. Shalom. Now, we have a visit from our new friend from the forest, whom you met last week, my good friend, Ophelia. Ophelia the owl, a very wise owl indeed, has brought a story with her today. Now, she has assured me that it's a little bit odd and a little bit concerning. However, she says that ultimately it's a pretty good story. So, I'm going to read it to you. It is a story about a very wise doctor. You may be familiar with it as a particular ethnic story. However, ethnicity is not important to the story, so Ophelia and we decided to eliminate that part. Its various circumstances could be easily about any one of us. So listen closely. You ready? Okay. A young woman named Mary got married. The happy couple lived with her mother-in-law. Since her mother-in-law was obnoxious, Mary decided to kill her. Amazing. Okay. Mary went to her doctor to get slow-acting poison so she would not get caught. The doctor said, "Just so that people don't suspect you, treat your mother-in-law very nicely, as you'd like to be treated yourself." So, Mary was very nice to her mother-in-law as she slipped a little of the poison into her food each day. Now, a funny thing happened. The two of them started getting along much better, and they became best friends. So Mary went back to the doctor and said, "I now love my mother-in-law, and I don't want to kill her. Please give me something, an antidote to counteract the poison." The doctor replied, "Oh no, you're all set. I gave you ordinary vitamins. You see, the only poison was in your attitude." And the moral of the story? The moral of the story is how we treat others changes us too. The end. Now, I say thank you to Ophelia for a most unusual story that illustrates our golden rule. And we're going to let her go back to her little nest underneath my lectern here. And thank you so much. I also want to thank all of you for continuing to contribute your gifts of love and commitment to our congregation. As a result of your responsible actions, we have been able to meet our current expenses to date. Our mailing address is Post Office Box 15146 in Rio Rancho, 87174, or you may use the PayPal button on our website. And again, our sincere thanks for maintaining the life of our congregation. I have now a reading for you of some of the varieties of form that the Golden Rule has had. It's been around for almost as long as people have. And here are how a variety of different traditions proclaim it. From Socrates we hear, "Do not do to others what would anger you if done to you." From Jesus, "Do to others as you would like them to do to you." And from Confucius, "Do not do to others what you would not like yourself. Then there will be no resentment against you, either in the family or in the state." From Buddhism, "Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful." From Hinduism, "This is the sum of duty. Do not unto others what you would not have them do unto you." And in Islam we hear, "No one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself." In Judaism, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow man. This is the entire law. All the rest is commentary." And in Taoism, "Regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss." Now, clearly, a lot of people on a lot of occasions have offered one version or another of the Golden Rule. Sometimes it's a positive statement. Sometimes it's a negative one. A few of them even have consequences attached. I think it's fair to say that this is a pretty universal maxim. Most people recognize it as part of a basic social code. In fact, it is so basic you might wonder why I'm devoting a whole sermon to it. I have my reasons, and I will share them with you. First of all, I've recently become aware that there are other rules: platinum, diamond, and even titanium. Of course, there is also the iron rule, but that has nothing to do with the smoothing of the course of social relationships among people, and everything to do with one person's power over others. So if the iron rule is your idea of a philosophy for life, you probably will not want to hear the rest of what I am about to say. And second, when I searched online for stories and humor to illustrate the golden rule, I discovered that it has a dark side. Now I have to ask, who knew? Seriously, the jokes and stories that kept coming up, I cannot tell you from the pulpit because they were obscene. Now, don't panic. I promise you that this will not be boring, because I do have some really good, thought-provoking, and even humorous stories. But it was not easy. And I figure that anything that we can't laugh about together easily needs another look. So here we are, looking at the golden rule. Now, the first thing you may have noticed about the varieties of the golden rule I read to you is the difference between the positive and the negative approach. Some are stated as commands: do this. Other times, it's worded as a negative command: don't do that. Here's the thing. Many of us prefer to hear and to speak from a positive perspective. We want people to hear us and think that we're a good person, we're nice. And since we know that our mirror neurons give us a boost when it comes to responding in kind to whatever's coming at us, we figure that we'll get more of what we want if we go after it positively. We're also primed to respond positively to those who are nice to us. All of which is in keeping with the old maxim that you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. I will confess that as a kid, I wondered why anyone would want flies, but it seems like a win-win situation, except for one small flaw. Not all of us are programmed the same way. Many of us do respond most cooperatively to positive commands and statements. But some of us need to know that we're in control of our negative impulses above and beyond all else. So let me tell you a true story. Sharon was a 14-year-old girl admitted to the adolescent psych unit that I worked on for a behavioral disorder. Her thought process was intact. She was not psychotic. But she was in an awful lot of trouble. She had earned a diagnosis of oppositional defiant disorder. Now, if you're thinking that that term describes a lot of perfectly normal teenagers, you'd be right. So imagine how extreme that behavior has to be to land the teenager in a psych hospital with that diagnosis. One of the tools that we commonly used with our teens was a point system. It was a way of tracking behavior and rewarding what was pro-social. One of the beauties of it is that the point system emphasizes that the teen is in control. They are in charge of their own life and how they choose to behave. If they don't meet the expectations on their personalized point system, they don't earn their points and therefore don't earn the rewards that they have chosen to work for. Point systems were not cookie cutter and they weren't imposed. We worked with each kid individually to develop a point system that would work for them. So I sat down with Sharon to write out a point system with her. She knew what they were and how they worked. She had seen the other kids and their point systems. And while she was relieved to finally have one of her own and be like everybody else, she was also hostile and more than a little on edge. "Okay," she said, "if I have to have a point system, it can't be like everyone else's. I don't want one of those silly, stupid, sappy ones that says, "Ooh, I got up on time, and I did my chore, and I used appropriate language to express myself." That won't work for me. "Okay," I said, "then what will? What is it that you want on yours?" "Oh," she said, "it's not that I want one particular special thing on it. I want everything on mine to say what it is I didn't do that I could have if I hadn't been in control of myself. I don't care about some dumb list of things that makes people think I'm nice. The only thing that matters to me is that I'm in control of my temper so that I can get what I want." The kid was on to something. She had rightly figured out that her behavior was not getting her what she wanted. She did not want to be in the hospital, and she did not want to be on the wrong side of the juvenile judge, or the judge in juvenile court. Her experience of trying to do what people asked her to in regard to following rules was that adults wanted to reward her for doing the things that came easily to her when she was in the right mood. When she wasn't in the right mood, all bets were off. Sharon wanted credit for being stronger than her temper, stronger than her desire for revenge, and stronger than her need to bully people around. Sugarcoating it wasn't going to work. She wanted plain, hard facts that showed her what happened when she was in control. So we wrote out her point system together, phrasing everything negatively. Where other kids earned points for getting up on time, Sharon got points for not sleeping late. Other kids got points for attending school and behaving appropriately in class. Sharon got points for not refusing to attend school and for not acting out in class. Her entire system was focused on what she did not do. Her bonus points, something that she didn't have to do to earn her rewards, but could if she chose to, were things like accepted a compliment graciously from a peer, or made a positive statement about herself and let it stand. It was completely contrary to what every other kid had. Other staff looked at it and were appalled. It looked like I hated this kid and had broken every rule when it came to writing her point system. How could I do this to her? I was supposed to be helping her. I explained her rationale to them, and although they were skeptical, they agreed to work with it with her. And Sharon, she thrived. She did amazingly well on her disconcertingly negative point system. She pointed out with pride how many things she did not do that she could have, that she'd considered, but decided against because she wanted her points. Because she was in control of herself. And I'm happy to say that she reconnected with her parents and was successfully discharged from the hospital. And when that happened, a year or so later, she was socially skilled and well-liked by her peers and staff alike. When we sat down and reviewed the course of her hospitalization with her just before discharge and pointed out the dramatic changes that she had made in herself, she cried. She was too happy for words. She'd honestly never known that she could be in control of herself and happy at the same time. Now, we might think that Sharon is a singular example, but she's not. There are plenty of people who come at things more effectively by knowing what not to do instead of focusing on what they should do. In fact, we all go through a phase in our growth and development when the word no is the very best word of all. Now, most of us are 2 when that happens, but it's pretty dramatic. We all learn the power of no at a very young age. And as soon as we're speaking, we pick up on that power and start using it all the time. How many parents have been frustrated out of their minds when they asked their 2-year-old if they wanted to put on their green shirt, and the child said no. So they asked about the blue shirt. The child said no. They went through every shirt in the drawer, and the child kept saying no. And now the parents of the child is late for daycare, and the kid is still shirtless because they're crying, and all they know how to do is say no, and they don't know how to fix the mess that saying no has made. So finally, the parent asks a different kind of question. Do you want to wear your green shirt or your blue shirt? And the child picks one with a huge smile, tears are dried, and children are dressed. Learning to navigate no and when to use it appropriately